Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bonney, I'd like to walk through the legal basis for USDA's decision on how to apply sequestration to the Secure Rural Schools funds. The committee's Democratic staff asked the Congressional Research Service to prepare a memo evaluating whether the SRS payments are subject to sequestration. I'd like to enter this into the record, Mr. Chair.
Without objection, be part of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The CRS found, and I quote, the BCA, or the Budget Control Act, exempts a number of programs from sequestration. However, the payments under SRS do not appear to be identified as exempt. Consequently, these payments which appear to be subject to sequestration. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes.
The Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act requires that payments be made, and I quote from the report, as soon as practical after the end of the fiscal year, and that's from statute. Thus, in January 2013, the Forest Service distributed to states the SRS payments that were based on receipts collected in fiscal year 2012. The law required you to make these SRS payments early in fiscal year 2013. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Sequestration had not taken place at the time, and in fact, the administration and members of Congress in both parties expressed hope that we could reach a deal to avoid sequestration. USDA did not know if it was going to have to implement sequestration, so you got full SRS payments out the door as the law requires. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Unfortunately, colleagues, the majority colleagues, proved unwilling to compromise and allowed sequestration to go forward. USDA then needed to determine how to implement sequestration for SRS payments. One issue that's been raised is whether sequestration applied to payments that were based on 2012 receipts but were distributed in 2013. In its memo prepared at the request of the committee's Democratic staff, the Congressional Research Service concluded that sequestration did apply, finding, quote, and that's in this report, budget authority that first becomes available for obligation in fiscal year 2013 would appear to fall within the definition of budgetary resources subject to cancellation in that fiscal year. OMB and USDA came to that same conclusion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the majority, who has insinuated that potentially some of your decisions were politically motivated rather than legally required, were any of these decisions motivated by politics over law?
No.
Thank you, and I yield back my time.